enough of Twitter self-help. We are actually here for another topic which might or might not come on Twitter. Yeah, Keyframe is out, so, but we didn't want to have this beautiful slot on Sunday slide, especially since Yuri was not able to come on Awkward in time to talk about Multiverse of Madness. So we were like, it's not topical enough, but you can always shit on the MCU, assuming we are going to shit on it. Maybe we come to a surprising conclusion that we all still love it. Spoilers. Probably not. I don't know. I'm already putting words in mouth. No, but maybe short, quick introduction. Hi, if you don't know who I am, then how did you find your way here? Exactly. Welcome. I'm Max. I'm ANY. I'm not sure why I do this, but I do it. I run this shit. All complaints to me. And I dare to say, I'm very up to date with the MCU. Seen all the movies. Seen all the Disney Plus shows. I only missed out on the early shows, as in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Carter.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not a Plus show.
No, that's what I mean. Like the early MCU shows. Sorry, worded it confusingly.
Actually, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a wild ride.
Is it?
Before the Plus.
But yeah, before the Plus. So and Carter. Agent Carter, is it also Agent?
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter.
Both have Agent in the name. Great, definitely not confusing. But yeah, except for those two shows, I believe I have seen all the shows and movies. If there's additional media outside of that, no, I have not seen it. I don't even know what else there is. Probably some comics or whatever. That's me.
What everything was based upon.
Since
you remember, guys? Marvel used to do comics.
Right. I didn't even notice this.
Crazy.
That would be hilarious.
I can't even believe it. Yeah. But yeah.
We live in a world where actually the franchise Warhammer 40,000 now has its own Marvel comic. Imagine that. That's colliding now. So, and surprise, surprise, it's both shit. Pretty much. I mean, I like it, but it's just very much watered down 40k, as you will get these days. Anyway.
But yeah, exactly. You, person in the dark who is already talking a lot and who has not been on this show or on this channel in forever. Who are you? And how much MCU have you consumed?
Way too much, I would say. Hi, I'm Yuri. I did one stuff on the internet with that guy.
One Direction.
Like I said, I'm rusty. Yeah, I have. That's it. Max and me, we know us for each other for a long time, and I'm also a Marvel goer, fan, whatever. And I want to talk about it because I have thoughts.
Okay. Have you? How up to date are you on movies and shows?
Having seen pretty much everything.
Okay.
To this point, even I'm the guy who's watching trailers.
Yeah. Okay. I skipped those. That's true. I haven't watched those.
You should start. You should start. It's actually telling.
Okay.
Anyway.
Miles, how about you?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Miles. I'm Mangajag. Been on your channel before as a pony. Love Marvel. Read the comics. Then shows came out. So I've seen all the Netflix shows. Daredevil has always been my favorite comic book.
All right.
hero.
Those exist. Wait.
Yes.
Netflix shows also exist. Are they officially MCU?
Yeah. And they actually
There are
really
a lot
good.
of Netflix shows.
Fake
Daredevil,
fan.
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Fist, The Defenders, and The Punisher.
Start with the Iron Fist. It's the best.
Iron Fist is the only one I would recommend skipping. But yeah, other than that, I watched all the shows and all the movies.
Okay.
I'm way more into TV shows because I love connecting with characters more.
But that's actually a good question. The Netflix shows do not count as MCU despite recent...
They do. They're so
do.
canon now. They're
Yeah.
But
canon
by now,
Spider-Man.
retroactively,
Spider-Man,
through...
No Way Home, they are
And
actually
also-
canon.
And
Okay.
also in Hawkeye, they bring in...
Hawkeye.
Yeah. Okay, and also the lawyer, Daredevil guy.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Next question. Are the X-Men movies from
I mean,
whoever did the
they.
X-Men movies, are they under
I mean,
that?
now they are technically two, aren't they?
Multiverse.
It says
Yeah.
spoiler. It says spoilers right there. If you are worried about any MCU
Yeah,
spoilers,
today is not a
Yeah,
good day if
no.
you're really just not caught up.
yeah. But yeah, then I have to revise my previous statement. I have not watched the Netflix shows, only the Disney Plus shows. Last
The
but not,
Netflix shows are better.
I heard good things about them, except for Iron Fist, obviously.
Daredevil, you should really give a go.
They're more
Daredevil's
gory.
fun. Yep.
I'm okay with
Much
that.
more gritty.
But yeah, last but hopefully certainly not least, British. Who are you? And what qualifies you to talk about the MCU?
Apparently not much, because I think after hearing the other three, I'm probably the least qualified or the least watched here. I've watched the main movies.
Outside of perspective. Outside of
Haven't
perspective.
seen much of the TV. I've kept up with the Plus TV shows, Loki, WandaVision, that kind of jazz. You know, I didn't see Eternals. I didn't see.
Good for you.
I'm going to see Morbius now because the internet won't shut up about being morbed.
It's
But
not in the MCU though.
Yeah, it's officially not MCU. I mean, all is owned by Disney by now, but officially
kind of
Venomverse or Spider-Verse, right?
adjacent. You know, it's kind of adjacent to it.
adjacent.
In the same way where that like X-Men stuff, yes, it technically is canon, but it's like a Wikipedia article where it doesn't really matter.
Different
that
universe.
much. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
it's going to affect
Yeah,
anything.
It's another turn of a rabbit hole, right?
So, yeah,
it
I've
depends
seen-
how deep you want to go.
I've seen sort of the main movies that, in order to keep track of the current plot of
Up-
where things are going.
up to
and I've
multiverse.
seen
On
a
top
few
of
the TV
anybody's
shows.
head, how many main movies are there in the MCU? How many main movies we're talking?
Like guessing or knowing?
I mean, you can know or guess. I don't care.
I don't know, so I would have to guess. We are in what? Still phase 4, or is it phase 5 by now? I would
No,
put
it's
it beyond
phase 4.
And with the Netflix. So there were like 6 or 7 in the first phase. Let's say
You see,
this
there's precisely
continues.
26 and a half.
I was going with something like 24.
Oh, that's low.
Really?
That's actually low.
Oh, fucker.
Man, they've been churning them out.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally Google it. If you want.
Obviously, but
I'm straining my hands to the Google bar.
Yeah. Siri, Google, how many MCU movies are there?
Do you actually know, or is that sort of a fraud question?
34. according to
How?
This article, Rotten Tomatoes.
how
Yeah.
many?
34 even seems to me a lot.
Yeah, that's
Main movies.
that cannot.
Yeah,
be
but it's
34.
actually it's actually
That's
it's even
34.
chronic.
We've had 10
The thing
years
is-
worth of movies.
Disney Plus has even a playlist which is lining them up in the chronological order, and it's one of the weirdest experience you can have because you're getting such shitty movies combined with good movies in such a random or feeling random order. Simply because it's like Fast and the Furious. Watch Fast and the Furious, and the universe internal order is so weird because you're getting Tokyo Drift. I think is the last one chronologically or something like that. It's super weird.
Okay.
And Tokyo Drift was the third one or fourth one? I don't know.
Okay,
Anyway.
I dare to say we are still below 30. I just tried to quickly count them. They were like in the mid-upper 20s with Phase 3. And there were only 5 more since in Phase 4. And the other ones have not yet been released.
Funnily enough, they're counting the Marvel Plus shows in this article. So
Then, yeah, then
Well,
it,
there
I
you
mean,
go.
yeah, then we are
That
talking
shoots it
about
down.
very, yeah.
easy. I mean,
It's
but-
actually 26
I
and
had a
we'll laugh.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was 27 or something. Last I checked, that felt right. Right. ballpark.
yeah. And I mean,
So,
that's a sad
27 movies.
Yeah, but here's
Not-
the sad thing: the standard is still relatively high. With the I already see the first turned heads.
Define standard.
I mean, the only MCU movie where I really came out and was like, wow, that was shit was Eternals.
Okay, can you define why?
It was all over the place. You had like no, it's the I mean, it's like introducing a dozen characters for the first time in an ensemble cast in a single movie. Doesn't give you a lot of time to develop any of them. So yeah, the characters were underdeveloped. They didn't do anything with the big monster. Then they do
Civil War did the same. Civil War did kind of the same, where they juggled a lot of characters, couple of new characters.
New characters were Black Panther, exactly.
Technically Spider-Man. But Spider-Man is kind of a cop-out, because Spider-Man is just like
everyone knows
popcorn.
Spider-Man though.
No, and he was really just mostly a cameo. They were like they made him. It was basically a teaser for his movie to come.
That's not a cameo. Yeah.
No. Yeah, okay, fair.
Pickup story with Tony Stark. He had a complete fight scene. We even had an aftermath scene with him. I would not count that as a cameo.
Cameo was the wrong term, I agree. But it was more like a teaser, an introduction to the character, while he was not a character of this movie.
It was a certified trailer moment. I think is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Like
it was
the
wow effect.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the wow effect. I mean,
but then but fair. Let's keep comparing it to Civil War. Civil War also had like more visually going on for it. I mean, Eternals was a lot of sitting around and talking heads, while it's a big action movie. So
yeah, but you also need sitting around to get to know all the characters, since it's in big ensemble, which is terrible, because we do have a good Marvel show that does better with an ensemble, Runaways, the Hulu TV show, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, big ensemble of a bunch of teenagers. So good, so sad it's not in MCU. But it's so much better when you put it into a TV show with so many characters.
But isn't this one of the big criticisms that Eternals gets from people who were like, yeah, maybe it should have been a show?
Yeah, that's how I felt when it was announced.
Yeah, but I also have a criticism to general, should it have been a Disney Plus show or a proper show? Because there's a difference, a stark difference these days, because I have a feeling the formula for Disney Plus shows currently is 6 episodes, not more. And these 6 episodes having a very... You can also go to Star Wars. Star Wars have a similar problem with Book of Boba Fett, and also... It's all the Disney properties have their highest peak in episode 5, and then they're having a very weird end episode, which is kinda like feels rushed and jumbled together. We can go into that with the different shows, where I feel that's a strong black mark on these shows.
Book of Boba Fett had a peak?
I would say the peak was when Boba Fett was not in the show.
Exactly, the episode, the Mandalorian episode, Mandalorian season 2.5.
I don't think Disney should make the Marvel TV shows, because they're shit.
Yep.
Like, the only one I like out of the 4, like Loki, Wanda, Falcon, and Hawkeye, is WandaVision. I thought that one was the only one interesting. Other than that, like, the Netflix shows are so more... They go into the comics more faithfully, and it's not baiting from what the fans like. Like, we got Loki basically because people love Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. He carried the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then, or otherwise Hulu shows like Runaways, which is great. When they also, like the Netflix shows, they use sort of non-named actors playing these parts from a comic that not a lot of people know about, which I think is great.
What was Doom Patrol again? Was that DC?
Amazon, I believe. Oh, Doom Patrol is DC, yes, and it's on Amazon.
What came out this year? Was it not? It's not Doom Patrol. He was in... Oh, no, sorry, I'm thinking of a DC show. My bad.
No problem. Yeah, but sometimes I think it also is worth trying other, let's say, the other side, like the DC side, and just watch these shows and just compare and contrast, because I think Disney has a huge problem right now with 3 things: writing, production, and also simply budget. Because when you look at, let's take the latest contributor to the whole thing, Moon Knight. I liked Moon Knight. Let's actually preface I think every one of us is kind of a fan of Marvel and the Marvel general MCU.
I
But that's the reason why we bitch and complain
I-
a lot, because there's reason to do so, because we are seeing I seeing a couple of things which are worrisome. So Moon Knight had a lot of cool ideas. When you compare it to the comics, I would say it could have went way more into the weird part, because the comics are super weird and super interesting therefore, because as a character, Moon Knight is basically just dealing with mental illness. He's just a split personality, or what is the actual term? There's
multiple.
not
DID?
multiple. Yeah, exactly. That's the term. So that's a cool thing, because in the comics, actually, it's way more fleshed out, and in the show, we got a lot of, let's say, glimpse into what could have been like Legion. Everyone who has seen Legion knows what I'm talking about.
Nope.
That's a really weird show. Legion is basically, so I think it is the son of Professor X. He's a super powerful mutant, and he's in an asylum, basically. And everything what he thinks becomes reality. Go from there and think weird. In the end, you don't even know in the show anymore what's real and what's not. And you keep questioning yourself, okay, am I experiencing something real right now or not? Legion is a super weird show, not for everyone. Just simply as that. And I think that the same with Moon Knight. A couple of people are just not into the whole, okay, is this guy crazy or not? This playing with that is not a very good property for Disney to just stretch it out to the lowest common denominator of moviegoers. And that's the biggest trouble with these shows. They don't have really a good budget, because the budget is really tight for these shows. You can see that. Only 6 episodes. The CGI is at places terrible. Just flat out terrible, because those guys do not get enough time and money to just really make good CGI. And the writing is all over the place. The problem is it's consistently bad, like Iron Fist. Then I could just say, okay, I don't care. But there are really good spots where I just say, hey, this is strong material. And then you have those dippers where you just say, who wrote this? And why? And why was this not proofread? I don't get it. So that's the problem I have with all of these Disney shows, that they're just being pressed, no matter the source material, into these cookie cutter forms of just rolling it out to Disney Plus and just saying, okay, and this now has to appeal to the lowest common denominator. So you have your Marvel showdown, mostly around episode 6, the last show, which is basically just, okay, now we need to have some giant mega battle, because we are Marvel and we need to deliver on that. And everything before that is usually just out of a window. Nothing really of consequences happening in these shows. Except some footlines, which then, and now we're going to Doctor Strange, getting really important in the movies at this point. If you do not have seen WandaVision, and you're going into Doctor Strange, you understand fuck all about this movie, especially about the motivation of the villain, which is...
It's
For some reason,
Yeah.
Wanda?
I assume she went.
Because kids?
I assume she went through a similar arc where she turned evil at some point in the comics, and it was iconic. Not even that.
No. Wanda has nothing to do with the Scarlet Witch from the comics. Let's put it there. There is an arc with her, about her kids, and Dr. X in the end goes into her mind and basically tortures her by just confronting her constantly with, hey, your kids are not real and they were never real and they're dead, and you just now trapped with this thought in your mind, and she's basically catatonic at this point, because they can otherwise not stop her. Mr. X, by the way, is a super dick in the comics. Just saying. He's not a friendly old guy.
Professor
Unless
X,
I'm
you mean.
misunderstood like what they were going for, I could have sworn it was like the Dark Hold was basically corrupting her from like the last shot of WandaVision. She's in the cabin reading through the Dark Hold, and I think we're left to assume that over from that point to the beginning of the Doctor Strange film, she has gone a little batty in terms of like this lust for her children. She sees them like in her dreams, you know.
Important.
It feels kind of sad to even say goodbye to Wanda in this film, because it felt like the ending of WandaVision was so that the scenes with Vision and her saying goodbye to her children. Now, I'm not I'm not going to say that like your feelings about a tragedy is wrapped up at the end of a TV show. Like that can carry on. It has relapsed in this case, but I think it's almost a shame to have that kind of lovely scene, and then the next time we see Wanda is in this instance, and she is a horror film villain, basically. Is the way that they want to.
It was at certain points. It was a slasher movie. She was basically just running around. First of all, okay, here let's talk about Wanda as a character in concept over the span of the MCU. Wanda always was a weird character because her powers never were clearly defined. She started out as basically a mutant, but they were not allowed to use that term, so therefore they were enhanced, whatever that means. It was basically the placeholder of every comic book fan, those are your mutants, we are legally not allowed to say mutants because Sony owns that property, so, well. Was it Sony? Anyway.
Yeah, it's Sony.
Yeah, so at a certain point, there was something about the Reality Stone, I think, which was given to her, and she got powers from the Reality Stone. But in WandaVision, we're actually learning, no, it's actually chaos magic.
She already had it, and the
Yeah, she
stone
had it
just
before.
enhanced it. What does it say about Pietro? Was Pietro Pietro?
Who? You mean the two-actor character, which we also got in WandaVision?
Yeah, but yeah, what about him? Was he also a speedster and just got boosted his ability? Got his abilities
So
boosted
the
by the
original
stone?
idea was that the scepter, I think it was, got used by this Hydra scientist to basically just enhance people, whatever that means. And Pietro and Wanda were the only one who survived. And Pietro, in the comics, actually is the son of Magneto, which we all know from the comics / X-Men movies, right?
Yep.
So, funnily enough, Pietro gets killed off in Ultron, Age of Ultron, but shows up in WandaVision and gets played by the actor from the other universe. So, Marvel itself basically just kind of plays with this funny idea of, we know these characters are kind of weirdly crossed, but at this point, they have the magic get out of jail card of multiverse. Everything is multiverse now. So everything retroactively now gets explained by, hey, multiverse, in the end, we can just slot in everything what we want, which is fine. I can live with that. But what I cannot live with is that Wanda, as a character, makes several arcs. She comes to terms with her powers, she learns responsibility, she learns that she needs to be careful with her powers. That's the whole Civil War thing, where she blows up in Wakanda, basically a hotel complex when we were fighting Crossbone. And in the end, she makes this whole arc with, hey, she sacrificed Vision, it did nothing. Let's not forget that. She sacrificed her own husband, and in the end, Thanos basically just turned everything back, and she did that with a time stone. So the implication is, because Strange handed over the time stone, the sacrifice I made to kill my husband did not mean anything, and that's your fault. And that could be a good reason why Wanda is pissed with Strange. I could even go there. But why the fuck the whole movie does she only talk about her kids and not about her husband? Can someone explain to me why she never mentions Vision at all in the whole Strange movie?
I think because of WandaVision, it's all about her coming to terms with the trauma response of him dying. So,
but now she has a trauma response.
After WandaVision, she's supposed to have been over it. She's put him to rest, but now is super concerned about her kids, the only thing she has left of him. Because in her mind, they're still alive in this other universe.
Which ironically is even real.
No one told Wanda that adoption is a thing that you can do.
But it's about her vision, her children. Which
I mean, there are a lot of things which Wanda didn't got told, like, hey, you are the most powerful wizard, witch, whatever that means. You can't just make stuff up, like you can, because the script says so. I could just very much bitch about how that is even possible, that she turns from Age of Ultron, Civil War, Endgames to a, let's say, mid to low high power level superhero.
Scaling in these films are always a bit weird.
Yeah.
And now she plays out basically both Sorcerer Supreme in that movie. Just
Yeah,
like it's
the
nothing.
entire, like, she comes in and wrecks the entire Shangri-La or whatever the
Now you could
temple is
say
called.
the Darkhold and everything. Okay, fair. Let's put everything on the Darkhold. But the whole trajectory for Wanda is just this. Up and down, up and down, and up and down. And in the end, I don't even know anymore what she really wants except for her kids. And these kids, you only get if you know WandaVision. And my wife, and here's the thing. My wife, Max knows my wife because he was with her in Endgame or Infinity Wars. No,
I
Endgame.
believe one of those two for sure.
And she has no fucking clue about the MCU. So imagine she gets the first time introduced to Endgame. That's the first movie she sees about these movies. And Endgame makes no fucking sense to her. And she's constantly asking in the cinema what's happening. It was Infinity War, I think,
I
in the end,
believe
because they all floated
so,
away.
yeah.
And she didn't understood why they're all floating away and why it's so significant that the whole cinema is gasping, but actually. And now she watches with me Strange, the first movie she likes. She hates comic book movies, but Strange she likes, because for first Strange she was like, okay, I get it, he's a wizard, weird stuff is happening, it's kinda like he was a douchebag, now he learns to take responsibility and not think about himself all the time. It's actually a pretty neat, nice, contained story.
Yeah,
Strange
I was
is
about to
actually
say,
a-
it
it's a
doesn't-
fun movie.
Yeah, it doesn't suffer because it's introducing a new character out of nowhere. It doesn't suffer from the interconnectedness.
It also doesn't,
Now-
you don't have to do any reading or homework to watch that movie either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just arrogant dude gets put in his place and comes to terms with it.
Yeah, you know,
know,
like
and
the
get
first,
powers along the way.
like the first Iron Man movie, which was also pretty damn good.
Well, now she knows, okay, Strange, Madness, Multiverse, second movie. I want to see
America.
that with you.
You mean
I want to see that with you.
second
because
movie, except the three
It's the
other
sequel
crossover
for
movies
Strange.
with him in between, like Infinity Wars, Endgame, and Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Imagine this person only watches Strange and now goes into this movie, expects a sequel for Doctor Strange, and has not watched WandaVision.
Yeah. Be a bit
Well-
confusing.
What do you do? What do you do with that movie
Yeah,
if
do
you're
you
going
do your
there?
damn homework? What do
Yeah,
you mean you
exactly.
can't just watch a movie? You have to watch the other stuff
And,
first.
and you went to cinema and paid good bucks and got a babysitter and all.
No, I was a responsible husband and comic book and MCU watcher. And
pirated it.
stay off that movie until I have seen it, and then I can tell you if it's worth watching or not. So I went alone, and to be honest, it was also a completely different experience to watch Doctor Strange alone and with friends. With friends, you're bonding over the experience, everyone knows what's going on, everyone's cheering. If you're watching it alone, you are much more paying attention to details, and you're much more critical about the stuff. Don't get me wrong. The scenes with Strange in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when Strange showed up, it was an entertaining movie. Most of the time I had fun with that movie. But every time when it basically just came to the conclusion of Wanda is going batshit insane and is super powerful, and now she is just basically killing off the
An
Avengers
entire-
of another universe without paying much effort whatsoever, I was just like, okay, what are they trying to convey here? First of all, Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic is not the smartest guy. in that
Yeah, oh
movie,
my
to be
god.
honest.
The Illuminati did kind of piss me off because you're getting all of these iconic characters. You know, Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, another Captain Marvel, Captain Carter. And then they're killed off like 5 minutes later, and they're going, no, don't worry, we can handle Wanda, but we're really, really upset with you, Mr. Stephen Strange. You know, I'm just like, okay, well, they seem pretty confident that they can add their dead. Okay.
Yeah,
It was a bit silly.
the dismantlement was not only felt it really, really cheap. Also, to be honest, I cannot see Patrick Stewart / Mr. X die anymore in these movies. I'm done. I have seen it now 3 times. It's okay. We can now stop killing Mr. X. or Professor
Professor.
X, because this guy in the comics is a really fucking big deal. Not only from its role in all the things which are going on, but also his power level. And this time I found it especially egregious that he's in a mind battle with Wanda, and Wanda is
he
basically
lost.
making a jump scare.
Yeah.
Bum, he's dead. Knack, broke neck. And I'm just like, okay, what are you trying to say here? That all of these heroes, a lot of people which are knowing these heroes are kind of value highly, are not worth just having a little bit more interaction with? Those were throwaway characters, and we're talking about big stuff. I mean, Boltagar, Black Bolt, you could just argue is a little bit kind of like they used him
Never heard
because
of him
he's
before
funny.
that video.
I'm not gonna get
rightly
into like
so.
I'm not gonna get into like power scaling stuff, but I just hope those actors were paid well because again, it's a certified trailer moment. Their entire point in the movie was for Patrick Stewart to have one line in the trailer where he says, "We should tell him the truth," and everyone's like, "Oh, it's Mr. X. Oh, we're gonna go see the movie now."
It's canonically, by the way, the Mr. X from the animated series, because he had the
big giant
1993 series because of the yellow
the giant
wheelchair.
Huh.
Black Bolt was from this one very strange Inhuman. Was it Inhumans? He was in one show, so he got picked up by Marvel basically to just be in 5 scenes and then being killed off. In a very, to be honest, not very cool way. Yeah. All of this was visually okay, but the whole fight I had the feeling like, okay,
yeah,
why?
They basically what's it called when money loses value?
Diminishing returns.
Value?
That also too. Yeah, but diminishing returns is also nice. I was thinking of inflation, but yeah, they basically radically reduce the value of deaths in the MCU with that. Like bringing in so many big names out of comic book. I didn't like the scene either. Like as you put it, visually nice. I mean, at least when the punching started because before that it was like, what mouth? And now I turn you into spaghetti. Okay, so the first two were very underwhelming.
Gory.
Yeah, also
gory.
that.
I mean, the implicit goriness of... I mean that's Sam Raimi.
I was about to say, it's Army of Darkness, dude.
Yeah, but still, the implicit violence towards beloved characters and the way how they died was a little bit for me like... I didn't understood the intention here. And either Sam Raimi's was gleefully, finally I can just have impact by just torturing these characters to death.
My best...
And they are meaningful characters. But we didn't have time with these characters to just really value them. So either you know them and you're shocked that they're just throwing them away, or you're just saying, I don't know these dudes.
And now they're dead.
I think
be pretty pathetic.
On something there where the word multiverse in the last like 5 or 6 years has been very popular in terms of fiction. You know, where Rick and Morty, the MCU, other kinds of multiverse stuff. And a big part of it is that characters don't really have that much of an impact when they die because they're just one of infinite possibilities. So that does allow you to get more gory, which is fun. But I'd never get attached to anyone in a multiverse story just because there's no point. Like, it's not going to matter.
It's the same like all the What If comics, or Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, Wolverine kills the Punisher, kills the Marvel. All of these are fun ideas to toy with for 6 or 7 issues, and then you're getting bored of it. Because at the end, it's basically like, Superman can kill Son Goku. It's the same level of discussion. You're just playing out this nice idea of just who would be powerful, and then you're just putting it to paper, but you're not making a meaningful story out of it.
It's a great idea.
That's the reason why those what-ifs are existing, because they're just saying, okay, let's run with this nice idea of zombies.
I think the point that you're hitting there, as well as sort of a wider point with the MCU, is that now that we're past Endgame, we've kind of hit a brick wall where most of the legacy heroes that are iconic with Marvel have now, well, their contracts are up for some of them, and the others are either being passed on to the next generation or yada yada. Where now we're having to introduce the Eternals, and everyone's like turning their heads and saying, who? Like, who the hell are these guys? You know, Spider-Man obviously did well. Doctor Strange obviously did well because these are like very iconic characters, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of cinematic universe burnout
But I mean, here
if we're continuing to go down this
I have a
path.
counter argument for that because there is one franchise introduction which totally counters that point, and that's Guardian of the Galaxy.
was about to
Guardians
say-
of the Galaxy is a super obscure comic before the movies came out, and they introduced Guardians of the Galaxies like, okay, this is the crazy space story B story with fun characters. And they just gave those movies some like, hey, this is also happening. And in the end, they tied this together. But your point that we're now, after Thanos hitting a brick wall, I would say it's like a little bit like World of Warcraft after we killed all the Lich King. You're having a villain which you're building up for so long, and Thanos was built up a long time. I think first Avengers movie we heard for first time from him.
must have
Like,
been
the
before, I believe.
No, the end credit scene when he's smirking on the throne.
Something like even before that, I think an Infinity Stone was flashed somewhere in a TV show.
The Infinity Stones were always
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure there was a hint to Thanos before that. Yeah, in Guardians. He was already in Guardians.
Guardians is after
Oh,
Avengers.
is this phase 2 only? Oh.
Avengers was the first Avengers I think was end phase 1.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The Avengers movie were always close to the end of a phase.
Anyway, so the point is now we need to somehow build up a new villain, and that's apparently Kang.
Yeah.
And Kang is introduced in Loki, another Disney Plus show.
More required reading.
Which also is like not
I will say
multiverse,
that introduction
but
I really
timelines.
liked.
I
really did like that though.
I liked the final of Loki. I think there are a lot of problems with Loki, to be honest, about its writing. I still enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show
Miles
because I
disagrees
just
with
could
us.
just say, okay, I can just... Because the Tom Hiddleston effect was working on me. I like Loki, I like the actor, it was just fun for me, but I saw so many glaring problems with the writing that I just said, okay, first of all, this is pacing-wise pretty weird. And also the devaluation of the power levels, which are just made here right after Endgame, so we sacrifice Tony Stark, is a pretty hard thing to swallow. It goes down like a shoebox. So that was my problem with Loki. But in
Do you
the
think
end,
they should
Kang,
have waited a while before bringing even the mention of Kang?
Kang, for the wider cinema audience, will be mentioned first time apparently in Quantum Wars, or Quantum something, which is Ant-Man. And that's also weird, because Ant-Man is not the strongest property in the MCU. So,
I think it was already. I mean, he's been mentioned now. My point being is, would you have moved Loki? Well, I guess you couldn't really continue unless the multiverse was broken. But like the whole ending of Loki was the introduction of Kang, of this villain, Kang the Conqueror.
yeah.
So would you have waited a while for Tony Stark's death and Endgame before introducing the next big villain?
No, I think the villain is fine. I just think it's a little bit like there's a lot of Blizzard likes to kill their heroes from their former properties simply because they do that. And all the emotional history you're doing with these villains, but also with these heroes, you're just getting it just presented as, hey, every emotional journey you made with all of these characters, by the way, it was completely for nothing because we have Infinity Stones as paperweights laying around. You could glimpse past that, but for me it was just like, okay, why? Why are you making that point? Because you have to imagine all of these things they're writing in these shows and these movies, they're doing on purpose. They're trying to say something with that. And what they said, by the way, all the power levels you have seen before are nothing. Because we're resetting everything and it gets even more crazy. That's the implication. But the only thing what you hear is like, so Tony died for nothing? Huh? I don't get it. So that was my take on it, so.
I'm kind of yes and no, because it's not like a whole Tony died for nothing thing, because it meant a lot in the context that you were first seeing it. Like, because if you just watched up to that point, then you'd have no idea what's to come next.
Yeah, but that's the point, that because after Loki happens after, and it's like, yeah, you see Infinity Stones, and therefore all stories attached to them don't really mean anything within the, what's the institution called again?
TVA.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's kind of it touches on a bit of
it does a devaluing
existentialism,
thing, yeah.
Where does anything matter in the multiverse? Again, another big problem with multiverse stories is that nothing matters. You know, you do have infinite stones. You know, everything
I have the
Thanos
same
did.
problem with time travel. For me, time travel is also the same thing. It's always just like, you just travel in time and just fix shit, right? I mean,
It can be done right if it keeps in consistency. Go on,
Like-
Miles.
The ways of making multiverses function is like the Marvel comics. They do a lot of great work with
Yep.
multiverses.
Yep.
And I even think like the Spider-Man movie did kind of great. Not
Oh,
at
yeah.
all because Matt Murdock was in there, which was amazing.
Timing.
And like there's ways that you can do it great. But then there's the way the MCU is handling it with most of its properties right now, which is so bad. And it just makes me want to like rewatch American Horror Story because they deal with some form of multiverse throughout their seasons, which is so much better.
yep. The
As
thing
much
is,
as people give it a bit of shit and a bit of a memeing, Rick and Morty at least keeps its own consistency with multiverse stuff. It's like, yeah, nothing really matters here. I'm practically a god because I can just walk into a multiverse where I win, you know?
but then also playing with that idea to the fullest, right? Because
Yeah.
what the multiverse right now seems to be for the MCU is like, first of all, now we have an excuse to retroactively fitting in everything what we want. So it's a narrative tool to just justify that. But
And
also, on the
also-
other hand, we can just pull crazy shit like, hey, we are killing off Professor X.
Yeah.
Works two ways,
feels
though.
cheap.
Well, and yeah, it does.
That works two ways.
And-
You can do some really cool, crazy shit, like having 3 Spider-Men in one film.
Yeah, and that
Which
was
comes to
cool.
the writing and the using of multiverse correctly, right?
Yeah. But then they go in and but it also has a feel like Disney found their get out of jail free card to include any property they are going to buy going forward.
But
Absolutely.
it's
thing
gonna
is-
be.
I mean, they're already doing it.
Yeah.
They are already fucking doing it. Not just
You're right.
with the Spider-Mans, but also with the Venomverse crossover, with the Daredevil appearing in there. They're already
Also
doing
was
it.
a cop out. The
You know,
whole
that's how
Venom
Deadpool's gonna-
crossover.
Yeah, I know. It was
that
just
was a
like
red herring.
blinking in, blinking out. But they established now that, the connection hypothetically exists. So if they ever get run out of properties within the MCU, however they manage, or they want to just milk the cash cows at the same time.
I think someone made a really good comment. I can't remember where, but it was like the way they're going to introduce Deadpool is that he's just going to be in the movie, and everyone's going to act like he's always been there.
Sounds good.
You think they want to introduce Deadpool into MCU?
I mean,
do you know
yes.
how much money that made? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
even Kevin Feige said it will be R18 again.
Ooh.
Rated R again.
But
I-
This makes how?
See, we'll
But
see.
but they can't. The entire MCU has which age rating?
Not
we-
anymore.
Yeah, but
Not anymore.
really?
They picked up all the Netflix shows, and those are
Yeah.
certainly not 13.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
they're not part of the MCU canon so far, even though they
Yes,
bought
they
it.
are. Yes, they fucking are.
I don't think
They
I
are.
don't think like that matters. Like you can have a TV show that's 18 plus and still be part of the MCU.
But
I don't think. Now, if that and you raise an interesting point here. What if that 18 plus show has a crucial plot point
that's
like the
where
end of Loki?
that's what I was building up to. Like now, you suddenly
What do you mean little Timmy has to watch this Game of Thrones show
Yeah.
just to make sure he knows the next villain?
exactly because you have this entire universe which is interconnected, and you have to watch every single piece of it, and then suddenly there is this, and you are a little 13-year-old boy who is just eating this shit up. And then they drop this 18 plus thing, which is essential. How is this supposed to work in the interconnectedness? Sorry, Miles, we keep talking over you.
That's okay. But what I was thinking, by the time we get to the point where we make 18 plus movies, there's so many movies you're gonna be 18 when you get to that point.
But there are new ones growing in.
Listen,
It's like Harry Potter, you grow up with it.
we're talking about a problem that hasn't actually happened yet. There isn't an 18+ Marvel movie.
Oh, but it should be, because the best parts of Marvel Comics is the battle royales and all the fun games of just killing characters. It's so good, and I can't wait for it.
But those sound like the ones that aren't
very concerned
canon
about it.
anyways, are they?
Sorry?
But those sound like they are not canon anyways, like the What If series.
They're not really
The-
what ifs, but there are like one shots, sort of.
Yeah, so-
Usually in a video game like VR sort of thing.
But I mean, if they are not part of the canon MCU, so they are not part of the mandatory program.
Do you think they're pulling another Wolverine on us? Hey, by the way, Wolverine, you have slept and dreamt all the shit which was happening in the X-Men. Now you're awake again. Hey! Everyone is alive again. We never killed Dr. X.
And we have a new Professor X, by the way,
Yeah, they would have a
who
new
looks
Professor
completely
X.
different.
I mean, how old? Who played Professor X in the X-Men First Class? That wasn't
I forgot
Colin
his
Firth,
name.
was it?
Oh no,
I
it's
know, yeah.
He's
been
on in
split.
years. He'll be able to
Yeah.
play an old Professor X soon.
He is in Split, I think.
yeah,
James
yeah,
McAvoy.
yeah. Yeah. He has been the Professor X after Stewart.
And I never liked him as Professor X because he comes off as a whiny, powerless, always sad guy. Just like, I'm so torn. Everything is sad around me. He's always
Yeah.
depressed in every movie.
If I was stuck in a wheelchair, I'd be pretty sad too.
But in the first one, he wasn't even stuck in a mill.
Float if he wants to. What does he care?
I don't know. We're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Maybe I can make the following statement.
Wow.
Up till Thanos, everything felt kinda like, okay, we're going somewhere. We don't know really where, but we're going somewhere, right? Because the eternal conflict of the whole diamond shape in the end was conflict resolution Thanos. They threw a curveball with Infinity War Thanos by just meaningfully killing off people. Do you remember the most emotional, Pactful scene of all MCU? I tell you mine.
Yeah.
Start of Endgame, Hawkeye, family scene, farm.
Ooh,
No
that was
music.
a brutal one. Yeah.
That was a strong one because first of all, it was not this after battle shock and everyone was released with that picture of just, okay, we lost. What the fuck is going on? But it was really just like, okay, now we're showing the emotional implication of Hawkeye just turning around as the whole family is gone. Endgame starts. And I was just like, okay, this movie really starts strong. And now we have phase 4. And we have a narrative spun through different medias. And I have no fucking clue where we're going with this. Because none of the properties really established anything meaningful, but basically WandaVision established, hey, I'm not over the shit,
She
but
established the setup for a multiverse of madness, which was kind of resolved at the end. I mean, they will probably bring her back if they want to.
Actually not. Actually
Do
not,
you-
because
do
she
you
resolved
think-
her own character arc, kinda, and just said, okay, I'm now released all of these people, I feel guilt, but I also kinda justified, which I find morally ambiguous, but anyway. And then she suddenly, in the end, sees the Darkhold, and that's it. And the Darkhold is the only connection, actually, to, okay, something is happening here. So it's the other sync line you're getting thrown as a fan. Be careful to watch the after credit scene. By the way, I was so mad about Doctor Strange 2 that I skipped the end scenes.
What was
Good
that?
vibes.
I'm so done with end credit scenes as well.
It's
I'm
so
actually pretty
exhausting.
done.
What was
It
it
does
even?
nothing but annoy the people who have to clean up movie theaters because the people won't fucking leave until the last second.
Can always watch it on YouTube later.
What
Yeah.
Exactly.
What was it, by the way, for Multiverse of Madness?
I have no idea.
Charlize Theron, which is playing the daughter of Dormammu, if that name rings a bell. Dormammu?
This is the one from
The
the
guy
first
from the first one?
Yeah.
We've come to
Apparently he
bargain.
has a daughter, and this daughter now just showed up in the street. Okay, there are 3 scenes. Both are kind of weird.
Okay.
The first scene is, movie ends, and
Oh, right.
get the third eye, right? And
Yes,
screams.
yes.
For
Oh!
some reason, at hard cuts, you get the colorful.
Yeah, and then
first
he's like
title.
walking down
Then
the street.
comes the first after credit scene, which is basically he's completely normal again,
Yeah.
and walks on the street, and Charlize
Yeah,
Theron is
she
opening
comes-
a violet rift and just saying, "Dude, something's
Yeah,
happening.
and he's
Follow
like,
me."
blip, okay. I
Right,
open
and
and
he's
blip,
just
yeah.
like, as it always would naturally happening to
So
him.
dumb.
Me and my third eye
Yeah.
are totally prepared to just follow you.
Excellent.
Which was kind of a weird twist. And then the next scene was basically like the
Just-
guy from Evil Dead.
Yeah, the Bruce Campbell, yeah, then mentioned, yeah, just a resolution to the joke that started
Almost
at the
almost-
beginning of the movie, yeah.
He almost had to say groovy, right? And then we're good to go. And that's kinda it. So it was basically established. Everything in Multiverse of Madness is kinda resolved, except Doctor Strange is now corrupted from the Darkhold. Or not. Who knows?
Yeah, but he seems also pretty chill about it. He has 3 eyes
I mean,
now.
depending.
Yeah.
who knows?
I mean, he
And-
seemed to have his shit good together, well together, and happier than before. So,
I mean,
he was wearing a scarf for crying out loud. How much more chill can you be?
I don't know.
okay, that's a very high.
Do you
Wait, did you make a pun? Was that a pun?
No,
Joe?
not even necessarily. I'm aware that a scarf and temperature are related topics. Anyways,
I have a question.
yes.
Do you
Yeah.
think that they should have taken a break after Endgame to basically say, like, this chapter is closed and we kind of want to cement this Marvel legacy so that when we start the next stuff, it's, because, like, I get the feeling the more that this goes on, the more it's going to slowly diminish, as Max said, the legacy of this sort of cinematic accomplishment that they've been building up to Endgame. I feel like if they treated it like a TV show, where they just said, yeah, we're going to take like a 2-year break. We know we're not going to make money, but we're going to just let that sit there, and then we're going to bring in new stuff.
I mean, if we got better movies after that, sure.
Yeah, I mean, the natural answer, yeah.
Did anyone see Black Widow? It sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, Black
mean-
Widow is really black
haven't
mark
seen
on
Black
Facebook
Widow.
too. Just do it. Just give it to you, and after 35 minutes, stop and never touch it again. Then you've seen a good movie. Not a great one, but a good movie. After 45 minutes, just stop and just read the synopsis, and you're good to go.
Yeah, there was a small break in 2020, but that was due to COVID. Yeah, but the point being is that they continued it on. I feel like I'm kind of thinking sort of retrospectively to Game of Thrones here, where like everyone knows the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones was like fucking peak, and then after like season 5, season 6, all that jazz, and it just starts going downhill from there.
alert! It's the writing. It's always the writing.
Yeah. But my point being is that if there was like a massive break between, like the fans already know, yeah, like up to season 5 is the good shit, and then past season 5 is whatever. I think that's gonna happen with the MCU, where it's like, yeah, everything up to Endgame is like peak. This is really great stuff, and then post MCU, post Endgame is gonna be like remembered as its own separate thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list right now where exactly the cut was. So here you go. Is it even
While
reached?
Max
This
is doing that,
not
just
readable.
compare it to Star Wars and what Star Wars is doing.
Yeah, still
So-
Disney, same difference. But yeah, after Endgame, they still had the Far From Home. They do this thing where after the Avengers movie, oh no, the first Avengers was really the last one. But they kept the Ant-Man and the Far From Home thrown in there. But yeah, after that we have Black Widow. We just were like, not the best one. Shang-Chi, fun by itself,
that
but
one.
fun by itself, but it didn't actually feel too much like an MCU movie. They addressed that the blip had happened. They had the after credit scene, but in between it was just fun by itself.
I thought it was such a good cleanser from all the Marvel I've seen.
But
Didn't
that's
see
a
it,
sad
it was
thing.
It was a fun movie. For me, it was on the same level as Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's a
Ant-Man
fun
is
one.
a fun movie.
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is fucking boring.
Oh yeah.
Ant-Man 1 was great because
I love
it's an
this.
origin story, and Paul Rudd is getting genius as Ant-Man, and he has the wonderful body comedy with his face and expression and delivery that you just been endeared in his performance. Ant-Man and the Wasp was very, very low amount of Paul Rudd and what Ant-Man makes fun, and a lot of other stuff. Just stuff. So, anyway. Shang-Chi, yeah, I liked. It was
But yeah, it was
pretty inconsequential, but it was a okay flick.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was inconsequential. Then we have the new the bad one.
The Eternals.
Yeah.
Did it flop? Did it make its money, or did it?
I mean, it was during COVID, so it even if it flopped, you cannot even tell if it flopped on its own right or if it flopped.
For Marvel purposes, it's pretty floppy because it was super expensive. It was super expensive because all the star power which was involved in it. For me, Eternals had the biggest sin of them all. It was a boring movie.
Yep.
It was not only tonally very confused and did a lot of pacing problems, but it was just boring.
Yeah. And okay, how many movies have we had since then? Okay, 2 only. But yeah, we had 2 movies since then. 2 movies which not in a single word address that there is a giant hand that grew out of the ocean. No consequences.
You know what's really funny?
Eternals...
I haven't seen Eternals, so I don't know if you're lying or not.
No! Eternals, the story of Eternals...
The climax of that movie is bonkers.
Yes.
Especially for the implication of everything what's happening in 616. So just imagine this, British. I will spoil it to you because the fucking movie is telegraphing the shit miles away.
Sure.
In the end, you know the Celestials?
I'm familiar.
The Earth is basically a giant egg which is breeding a Celestial, and when humans are dying, then or being absorbed,
or there's a life force on the planet.
Creatures just dying on the planet, and that feeds into the Celestial, and in the end, the Celestial
world chicken. Yeah.
You will break out, and that's the end of Eternals. Basically, the Celestial is moving his head and his hand out of the planet. So we're talking about Indo-Pacific, whatever. So the tidal wave alone would have killed the whole planet. But anyway,
and that the center of mass of the planet also must have drastically moved.
That, by the way, they're stopping that by just making it sleep.
Power of friendship.
Or into a tree, or into a stone. I was completely checked out at that point.
Basically, Steven Universe, but worse.
Wow. And then, we're not stopping. Another Celestial shows up
in the
sky of the world. So everybody basically makes them the Rick and Morty "show me what you got" face.
Oh yeah, good point.
Angel of Speed brought up a great point there, where like because you're making these movies like years and years in advance at the same time, you can't address this stuff.
But you can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
yes,
because they make them at the same time. Yes.
You can just sync your script.
They don't have to wait until the movie's in cinema to know what happens and what are the big points in it. That's the entire point of producing them in one studio.
It's in their best interest to actually work together.
Yeah.
But one universe.
But yeah, they now have 2 movies.
It's just jarring.
Taking place on Earth and not even addressing either the Eternal coming or the Celestial coming out of the planet, nor the Celestial visiting the planet.
Okay, let's focus on one thing because we had just addressed this. Endgame had a dedicated scene to deal with Thanos snapping half of a population. Captain America sits in a circle with people and just working through that shit. We have a dedicated scene. Paul Rudd is just seeing San Francisco basically being half abandoned. We're having a dedicated scene where Black Widow talks about, hey, whales are back or some shit. 3 incidences where the writers took time and valuable camera time to just say, okay, we are addressing the consequences of our actions. Eternals is now how many movies ago? And shows, by the way,
2
shows as well.
Oh, a lot of shows. Movies only 2, but basically all the shows. I don't know. It's from
Hawkeye. Hawkeye had a scene dedicated to Endgame.
Hawkeye also didn't address the Eternals, and Moon Knight neither. And both of them are taking place on Earth with normal people.
No Way Home is actually happening definitively after Eternals.
The moon spinning around for 300 times during the
great
Egypt
scene,
gods.
by the way. I liked that scene.
Yeah.
It was visually impressive, and I was just like, why is nobody fucking talking about
Which
this?
one?
the cosmic level shit we are facing
in
right
Moon
now
Knight.
for Earth population is just so insane that people are like so apparently so desensitized that they're like New Yorker subway people or audience. They're just not even looking up from their newspaper anymore because shit is just happening.
Bringing that, I did like the part of Captain America and the Falcon. Sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where they had the idea of the blip refugees. You know, people who were blipped away. The people left. You know, all these new houses are available. Homelessness is basically eliminated because there's so much more stuff around. And then the people come back, and then they got to deal with that problem. That was like a very interesting way to.
Falcon and Winter Soldier just left me feeling so hollow because it made me want to rewatch The Boys. Because it has a lot of The Boys moments with like a Homelander character, and it's like, where's the gore? Where's the actual going against the people for freedom, America? No, okay,
you're not
sorry,
getting any gore from me.
Here's the one trope that I wish would die. It's the evil Superman trope.
It's so fun.
It's so fun, but it's so oversaturated at this point. I could.
I mean, it's basically negative hero,
I could throw a
which
rock
is
in any
always
direction and hit an evil. What if superheroes, but they were bad?
That's called a super villain. We have those.
It's always the same. It's always the same
kind, you know.
It's the same. It's like Venom. Venom is basically Spider-Man, but reverse, so to speak. Kinda, right?
Not even that. No, I'm talking like, oh my god, here's the archetype of a Superman or a Captain America, and then the power goes to their head, and they start making unmoral decisions. They start.
Most comics have the versions where this hero goes bad for this one issue.
Yeah, I'm just tired of it.
It's a pretty.
Throwing my hand at the stick, you got Omni-Man, you've got Homelander, you've got the DC story where Injustice, I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah, that storyline. It just seems too much. I'm tired. I just want superheroes to be good again for a change. That'd be nice.
That's actually something which I watched or just observed. How much does Marvel Cinematic Universe starts to hate their own heroes recent time? Think about this.
It's very lampshady.
They just started to always introduce the heroes kind of a power struggle or just struggling with their own identity a lot. Almost constantly. I get why it was happening in Falcon. Because there were just the question of racial identity with a history of being a black man in America wearing the title and the shield for Captain America. That's something where I say it's an interesting approach. I think Disney botched it pretty heavily by just not really exploring it in a meaningful way. I think it was kind of clunky how they explored this topic, but I get why that subject matter was touched upon. I also get why Bucky still struggles with his past as an assassin and his purpose in life. I totally get why that is. I don't really get it why it wasn't Loki at all.
But I'm confused. What did Loki have to do with it?
Loki basically just needs to rethink his whole identity in the first 2 episodes by just getting shown, hey, you are the villain, and therefore you're destined to lose, because that's your purpose in life. And the rest of the whole show is basically him coming to terms that he is basically always the loser. And I didn't understand why the show wanted to push Loki in that direction, because Loki, for me, works very well when he's a villain. I mean, I still like the character, because he's witty and funny, but I don't like him as this kind of wannabe good guy, but not really. I was very confused by this whole, why do they push this character in that direction? That's my point.
Oh, right? Him falling in love with Sylvie was kind of weird. That was so rushed.
Sylvie's such a bad character.
Sylvie is a pretty bad character, because Sylvie is this usual... Okay, here we go. If we're following a couple of macho YouTubers, it would be the Vogue mind virus, which is getting infected in MCU. That every time it's a powerful woman who's just showing up and shows the male hero off for what he cannot do, and she's so much better. But what I noticed is Marvel has really troubled time to write good female leading characters. I just really feel that.
Do they even have any? Black Widow was
kind of
yeah, but she
got slaughtered.
Hardly allowed to lead. Yeah, and she got slaughtered.
I mean, we have Jessica Jones in the Netflix shows, and she's brilliant.
Retroactively, MCU stuff doesn't count. It was not produced by the same guys.
In Guardians of the Galaxy was always really cool. She was always kind of a badass. Yeah.
But
Gamora is
probably the closest to a leading woman. But then again, like Black Widow, in Winter Soldier was very prominent. But
I see where you're
leading.
going with this, though, Yuri, because I think that's going to happen again with She-Hulk and Hulk. They're going to undermine Hulk in order to make She-Hulk look cooler.
But she is better.
I'm not familiar with the comics. If she is better.
I love my lawyer heroes, so she's absolutely better.
I guess I'm just not a fan of this current Hulk iteration either.
I do have Hulk, so.
What is she even? Is she a show?
She's
next. She's going to be a new show.
She's the next Disney Plus show.
After Obi-Wan, or
hopefully more interactions with Daredevil because lawyers.
That's true.
Turns into a Phoenix Wright game.
Yes,
objection.
The thing is, we don't know where the show is going, to be honest, because first of all, I have very concerned feelings about Miss Marvel, it's the title, because that show I will skip because I'm simply not the target audience for it. 15 years, kinda teenage sitcom vibe. I like kind of that they're trying to just introduce a new cultural background, but it's basically just, again, American kid with Pakistani, I think, roots just getting introduced. So now we're getting...
She's quite new, isn't she?
The comics...
Oh, no. Hello?
Oh
no!
No, and Yuri is exactly between the two. When you talk, Yuri, your green bars appear, but that's... Back again.
Hey, we're circling around now. I like it.
I believe he will switch into places once Miles turns his screen back on.
Okay.
There it is.
Hey, there we go.
So,
Miles wanted to say something. Go for it.
Miss Marvel, really great comics, because I read it when it came out. And we do have one other good MCU show that is in the MCU, not Netflix, which is Agent Carter, which was great as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Agent Carter was good.
Is Miss Marvel a new hero in terms of like how old are the comics?
Miss Marvel.
Not that old at all.
Yeah, relatively new, I believe.
Yeah,
the relatively one. She was like part of this sort of new wave.
More importantly, she is BFF with Squirrel Girl, so we might finally get Squirrel Girl in the MCU.
I'm excited for a Squirrel Girl.
No, it's never going. Either it's never going to happen, or they will butcher that character, and they will hate them forever for doing so.
Which brings
I don't trust Disney with fun characters, to be honest, because Marvel has a very bad sense in writing humor at the moment. In my honest opinion, it's really cringy at times.
Yeah.
Remember Drax the Destroyer?
I mean,
and how he
Ragnarok.
got treated.
In Guardians 2.
Sorry?
Miles?
Sorry, Miles?
Thor Ragnarok. It was kind of okay.
But I mean, this was not the MCU. This was Waititi.
I mean, you're touching on something there. We're like,
he's gonna write the next Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy was assessed because of James Gunn.
Yeah.
Like it really depends on the director and the writer, obviously.
Yeah, I would say the style of Ragnarok was really, really the savior of Thor as a character within Marvel, because it basically put Thor where it's supposed to be. 80s heavy metal poster character. That's Thor for me.
Talking about, have you seen the new poster for Love and Thunder? Oh, that's the wrong one.
Indeed, did not.
Oh, there was a there's a stand-up in a cinema here in Berlin, and it's like him, basically, it looks like literally like a metal poster, with him like even stretching up lightnings behind him. It is
And
beautiful.
That's totally fine. It's totally fine. It fits the established tone they want to go with.
And it's Waititi again, so yeah.
And obviously, I like.
the 80s.
There it is.
I liked Ragnarok because of things like Goldblum.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum was amazing in Ragnarok. I liked that. How is the actor called? I'm blanking on his name. For itself, Hemsworth. I like that they're giving Hemsworth the opportunity to go that direction, to just say, okay, you are just now the funny, goofy guy. You're the fish out of the water, and that's fine. I also liked that the whole Loki Thor interaction is always fun for me, because that constant struggle and just dicking each other over is fun. I liked, how's the stone guy called, which Watiki played himself?
Waititi himself.
Yeah.
All of this is good. But there are also like jokes which I was just like, I didn't like Valkyrie at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. Because as a character, as a character, the struggle she showed in the first scene is amazing. She comes, she shows, I'm powerful, but I also have a drinking problem. Keels over, that's comedy, which I can agree with. The rest, she was basically like, I'm miserable, grumpy, strong woman.
Yeah.
That's her character. And I don't think that's really what this character should
She also had the fun relationship with the Hulk, though. She was like best buddies with the Hulk.
Yeah. They had really
I
great
disagree.
chemistry.
I think she was cool.
Those two must have banged
She
at
was
some point.
grumpy with Thor because Thor is new and trying to boss her around.
What I'm saying is I'm very excited where we're going with her. I think she finally gets her being a bisexual character, at least in Ragnarok. That's teased, apparently, since they bit the bullet for Strange to just say we don't cut any bisexual or straight up gay relationship.
In China.
China and Saudi Arabia, yeah. Actually, they did not cut. Therefore, Strange did not run in. It did not run in Saudi Arabia, I think.
Good. Fuck him.
So I like that, I'm interested in seeing that direction. But I also think like at certain points it's just like Thor gets to a very goofy place, which I do not envision this character always to be. That's my point. Because in Endgame, or let's say Infinity Wars turn to Endgame, he was the very brooding guy who basically just lost everything. And when they turned him to Big Thor or Fat Thor, where I was just like, okay.
Yeah, but it's easy to cosplay.
Fair enough.
Especially for the fandom. Hey-oh!
I just don't think that's... I think tonally that just takes too much shifts in that character. I still don't know where they're going with Thor, tonally wise.
I don't know. I like Goofy Thor, but I also like
Technically,
Thor from the religion Thor, so it's nice.
But I mean, Chris Hemsworth's Thor technically has always been goofy. It's just that until Waititi came around, the movies around him were not goofy. So his goofiness was always kind of like, instead of being played up, it was just there, but the movie didn't reflect it.
I'm excited for the new villain, played by...
I hope Bale has good material.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Because the VFX looks really fucking good. Like, really good. Very emotive.
War
very
the God
expressive.
Butcher. That whole comic run is insane. It's really good.
But yeah,
Really
And
like
Christian Bale's an incredible actor, so I'm absolutely
The
confident.
thing is, we had a lot of incredible actors in... I mean, Kate Blanchett, as Hela, I would say, was fun.
Yeah.
Was she used to her full potential? Obviously not, but did she need it to? No. Fine. It's okay. Let's talk about the performance of Elizabeth Olsen and what she did with Wanda in Doctor Strange. To be honest, I like the performance of all of these actors. I think it was strong enough. The sad thing is the writing was
Yeah,
just
I was
not.
about to say the actors are not the problem.
With the
Yeah.
material that they were given, Wanda was told, "Hey, you're going to be a horror film monster, basically.
Basically, yeah.
You are
And-
Carrie. We want you to scare these people. Do
Yeah.
it." And she did it.
Yeah. But she also had the emotional resonance to just be shaky when she was
Yeah.
tested about her moral, let's say, approach to whole thing. So it was not the blank staring, hey, I'm super evil. She still tried to play up the being conflicted, so to
Well, I
speak.
hated that. I actually really the one line that ruined the end of the movie for me was when Wanda's about to realize that she's fucked up, and she looks and goes, "No, I'd never hurt anyone." And then you sort of turn around and see just the corpses in her wake. Like it's such a dumb line. I thought that Wanda's perspective was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to kill some people to get what I want, but I've bloody earned it. I've got the power to do it, and there's no one who can stop me. But then they have this kind of like moral quandary at the end where Wanda's like, no, I never wanted to hurt anyone.
That's a take I heard a lot, yeah.
But I think the whole thing with Wanda, since the show, it's always like now she's just trauma response. She doesn't know anything because it's just trauma. She just do because she just react. Like it's so bad.
Yeah, the other perspective I heard a lot is it's the Darkhold, you guys. It's all the Darkhold. The Darkhold basically just radioactively turned her into a super madman, so to speak. But then again, why is she then conflicted? Because if you're playing the Darkhold card, then she should not have any remorse whatsoever. She should be just would have worked, I think, better if she would be super crazy insane. Play the Kate Blanchett as Hela.
I wish
just
she'd
be
doubled
the
down.
arrogant mega villain and just say, okay, it is the Darkhold. By the way, did you know that this movie almost cut 90 minutes of material?
Wow.
And extensive reshoots.
Ma-
So
ma-
I think a lot of this tonal shift
Multiverse.
partially comes from that. Yeah, multiverse. It actually got a lot of extensive reshoots.
So making it darker or less dark?
I think what they probably just test screened was Wonder. I think the scene in the orchard when Strange comes to Wonder, and Wanda basically turns from character which we know maybe into supervillain in a minute, and then we're going to Kamatash and just basically blowing up Kamatash. That is happening. I actually watched my watch in 12 minutes. That feels super rushed. That feels super quick what's happening there. She's basically just, hey, I did some crazy stuff, and Strange is just, yeah, maybe not, who knows, it's fine. And then in, I don't know, 3 or 4 sentences gets revealed, oh shit, I just misspoke, and therefore Strange now knows that I'm the evil guy. So, let's kill a couple of people. That's 12 minutes. That's very fast, even for the MCU. So, it feels like something is missing there.
A better
And-
villain, like not
A better
turning hero.
motivation. A better motivation for the villain, I would say,
Like-
because the kids in the end, I found also not a very strong, convincing.
I
way
would have.
to
I can
just
get
push
it
that.
as like a mother's love.
Yeah, but still, it feels like a rehash of like Dark Phoenix kind of thing.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Also,
just not the strongest Dark Phoenix. Like,
also there are a lot of internal moral plot points for her, which she actually gets challenged with in the movie. Hey, why do you need to kill that kid to get the powers to just then? You can just ask her to just get you there. No, what if
wait
my
like 5 days?
yeah? What if my kids getting sick? Then I need to find another universe to find a cure. Where I'm
When-
just like at this
Wait,
point.
when did they say
we're-
that?
So there was one
Came
scene
up
where
at some
Wong
point,
basically
yeah.
just asks her, "Why do you need to have to kill her then to just get these powers?" And she basically just said, "Well, I need these powers for myself because I need to be able to open more universal portals to just look for a cure for my kids in case they're getting sick." And at this point, I was just like, "Okay, now you're just losing it, woman, because we're talking about your magically made up kids." you want to find in another universe to then kill their version of their mother there, which is also kinda then magically made up or not, who knows? To then just say, okay, if these kids turn sick, I need to find a cure to... You're basically the most powerful magic user in existence at this point. By the way, she's a Nexus event, according to the MCU. There's no one else like her. So
America?
she's like
Yeah.
she's like America, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a Nexus event. She's the Scarlet Witch. So therefore she's the only one. That's the reason why when she... That was also weird. Why is the Darkhold getting destroyed when in all other universes?
She
is it
actively
also
did
getting...
that because they're
Okay,
all
fair enough.
connected, and when she destroyed the one, she lets
Okay,
it.
fair enough. Space magic. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Magic is explains
Which
everything.
is nice, because I
here's
was
the
like,
thing.
we have the one bright hold, and we have an infinite number of dark holds. I'm like, that doesn't look good, and then they destroy the white hold, or whatever the name
My
was.
point is, every time when they're just trying to test the moral high ground of Wanda, they're pushing this character actively more into the realm of, okay, lady, your motivation doesn't make sense. It's not like they're challenging her, they're just showing what we written doesn't really make sense.
They
That's
have to
my...
keep
Ugh.
with the multiverse stuff. They're going to have to keep justifying why things are important and why other solutions aren't possible.
By the way, talking about the multiverse, for a Doctor Strange movie, visually, a couple of things
Meh.
were really cool, but I was more visually impressed from Doctor Strange 1, simply because there was more not seen weird shit. In this, it was really tame. I mean, we have seen a Beholder, basically, or kind of Beholder in the start, and then we had a 60-second shot of just they morphing through different universes, which looked cool, but that was basically it. The rest was just glowing things. The zombie Strange
The
was
zombie
kinda
cape,
cool.
the Necro Strange was fantastic. I loved that whole.
That
bit.
was
That
visually
was metal
cool.
as hell.
That was
I
visually
think
cool.
maybe they didn't want to do like a. I mean, you've seen this before. We don't want to just do it again, just because what's that adding to the film? For Multiverse of Madness, it wasn't really quite that maddening. I guess they just wanted a title that rhymed or had that that double M alliteration. You know.
Question, is Wanda dead, by the way? At the end
Yeah,
of the movie,
well,
is she dead
that
or
one-
not?
I mean, for now, I would say until they want to bring her back.
That
Yeah.
Wonder is
Nah,
dead, but
she-
again, it's comics and we're in a multiverse.
I'm not
so
even sure if that Wonder is dead, to be honest. No, yes, you see an entire temple crushing on her, but but she brings
For
the
the literal brazenness of showing real death on screen in
Yeah.
this movie, it was a very obscure
Uh-huh,
death, because we
uh-huh.
basically just had her temple falling on her, and that's it. And we have seen literally just being Mr. Fantastic spaghetti fight on screen and
Yeah.
popping his head off like a piñata. And I was just
Exactly.
like, oh, okay, well...
so
so-
she's basically Schrodinger's Scarlet Witch for the time being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
fair enough.
Maybe one thing to just... The whole Phase 4, what is the movie you find the best so far?
Repeat that, sorry.
In Phase 4, which is the show, movie, whatever, you find the best so far? Just in Phase 4.
That's a hard one.
Probably Spider-Man. Spider-Man, just because it I'm really glad that the ending of the Spider-Man film had him step away from the Avengers.
The
so
reason-
that Spider-Man can be a Spider-Man film again,
the-
not a Tony Stark film.
The fun
Yeah.
thing is, the ending is why Spider-Man is for me potentially not my favorite.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because they, I mean, they made a big deal out of invoking the previous two iterations in this movie.
Which was super fun.
Which was fun, absolutely. But yeah, they made a big thing out of invoking those downtrodden on their luck Spider-Man versions. Even so, Andrew Garfield wasn't too badly, too far down.
Andrew Garfield was really
Like,
fucked.
I mean, yeah, with
He killed his girlfriend, basically.
Yeah. No, I was more thinking about like living situation and whatnot. But yeah, you're actually true, right? He also has his thing. But yeah,
Tobey Maguire's original Spider-Man seemed to have everything in order again.
at least by the third one, yeah. But then he had to kill his buddy.
Well,
Didn't the
You win
the second
some,
of
you
the
lose
die?
some.
Yeah, I
I mean,
guess
you've
so.
got literally 3 generations
No, but-
where the oldest has grieved and has moved on and has worked their life back together. The second, who is still in the process of grieving and is working through
Yeah.
it this movie. And now Peter, who has just started to grieve after losing May.
Yeah,
That's actually a good
oh,
take.
but yeah, okay, yeah, no, but in general, to come back to the ending, and I mean, first the one thing is like, it was pointed out, hey, we didn't have to do the great power line. Oh, great! After 3 movies, they were like, you know what? Let's do it after all. Let's do the power line because this Peter hasn't learned to suffer yet.
No, I like that. I'm actually all for that.
Yeah.
That's a whole part of Spider-Man's character.
Pretty much.
That's a
yeah.
huge chunk. And the only reason they did it is because it's so iconic you already knew it.
Yeah, but that's why you didn't need to include it, and yet they felt the need after 2 entire movies to be like,
Right.
you know what we really need? This is like going back to adult Bruce Wayne and having his mother then killed in an alley when he is already Batman.
So
It's like
I know where you're getting
Kinda
at.
disagree.
I do think that we did need a great power moment. Now, before she says, with great power comes great responsibility, I think like a couple scenes earlier, she says something very similar that's on the same line. It's like, oh, you know, you got to look after yourself now that you're in this situation. And the moment's like, whoa, that sounds a lot like the whole great power speech. She's probably dead. And it turned out to be right. But I think you didn't need them to explicitly say the line, with great power comes great responsibility.
but they
But
felt the need to.
memory berries.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember? But yeah, this was one aspect. Then the thing that Strange and Peter, who are both supposed to be geniuses, just fucking it up in the beginning. It was a joke. The entire creation of the spell was in a joke scene. And this joke, this is comic relief scene is then the trigger point for the entire movie to happen, for shit really heading to the fan. Aunt May dying. Oh, hello there.
Aww.
And,
Hello to my daughter.
And
Finish your point. I will just
yes.
quickly mute myself.
And then the ending where what made this Peter Parker different from the previous iterations, namely that he. I mean, yeah, you see it as a negative that he was interwoven with the MCU, with the Avengers and whatnot, and Iron Suit and everything. Yeah, he was very overpowered potentially, but he was different from the previous iterations. And then they go in and take all this and having his own MJ, which is not Mary Jane Watson for once, going in and removing all of what this iteration of Spider-Man had uniquely going for him and just turning him into the standard mold, removing his unique friends, removing his unique assets, setting him at his lowest point into a rundown flat with no friends, no money, no nothing. And I know that many people celebrated this.
It's the hero's journey.
What you've just seen, or what you've just described, is his backstory. And
Yeah, basically.
now we're at the part where Spider-Man
So the
begins and
first
becomes his own hero.
the 3
Like,
movies
here's the
were
thing.
just a backstory. I still find
with-
this.
With Marvel Comics, you've got the Avengers, and then you've got Spider-Man. Those are like the 2 giant pillars of Marvel.
X-Men.
Like,
So-
and X-Men, yeah. 3.
X-Men, Fantastic Four is actually
My
also
point
pretty
being,
big.
I
It's
hated
just, like,
the idea
movie-wise
that
on top.
Spider-Man was just a second Tony Stark, or like Tony Stark's sidekick. The whole wallowing of everywhere I go, I see his face. Like, it frustrated me that they weren't using Spider-Man to his full potential, and now they can. Now they can tell the Spider-Man stories, because Spider-Man
It's a
on
reset.
his own has a rogues
Literally.
gallery to rival Batman.
Oh yeah.
Like, no one else in the MCU has the kind of villains or stories that Spider-Man does.
And I loved what they did with them, like with the voucher. The voucher
Miles,
was
you're never
was
gonna
the
say anything.
silliest villain looking appearance-wise and whatnot in the cartoons back then, and they turned him into freaking threatening entity.
As a working class dad.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, I guess I said my thing about No Way Home. I'm completely aware that I'm completely alone on the internet with this opinion. But yeah, I got a chance to say it. Yeah, but with that, I guess it is somewhere between Shang-Chi and Universe of Madness, which would be my favorite. But I'm not overwhelmed by either of them. It's like, if you ask me what's the best MCU movie, again, Eternals I hate, Black Widow was underwhelming. Spider-Man.
I find Black Widow upsetting, to be honest. It's not even underwhelming. I found this movie highly upsetting.
I felt like so offended by watching Black Widow.
Yeah.
Like, it was so offensive to watch it. I'm like, what have you done to this character?
Yeah, especially. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think Spider-Man is my favorite from this phase because I preferred the Miles Morales movie.
So then, which one is it for you?
Shang-Chi.
Oh, it is Shang-Chi, okay.
Obviously, it's great. It's so visually pleasing. It has fantasy animals. It's just great.
It has a non-annoying, really likable Aquafina.
Yeah.
That is a miracle in and of itself.
Overall,
Have you guys seen Bad Guys? Aquafina.
Yeah, okay, she's pretty great in there too. And she's also kind of fun in, but borderline in Crazy Rich Asians.
Overall, I really love that movie, and I always like bilingual movies. It's always fun when you're bilingual. Because it's too much American, like English in all these Marvel movies. Oh my god.
Speaking of that, did not the sidekick got in hot water for appropriation of the American slang? There was a shitstorm, Twitter's shitstorm about that. Shang-Chi, the sidekick actress. It was one of those things where I was just like, okay, good that I don't being involved in Twitter. So, but anyway.
I mean, Morbius sold over 1 trillion tickets.
It's not in MCU, thank fuck.
Yeah,
it's not canon, right?
But it is, because the Vulture shows up at the end.
But if you Google it, it says it's not in the MCU.
It's not on this Wikipedia page, so it's not.
Marvel legend.
I actually liked a couple of scenes in Morbius.
I haven't seen it.
It's weird like that. The thing is, Jay Leto is such a good character actor, and he just has such a bad luck with movies.
Yeah.
He's just like always casted for the obvious. Have you read the script, dude? Just don't go by the title. Start reading. No, I can body transform. Therefore, I'm a method actor. Yeah, but stop it. Just
someone told you, we're gonna get you in a high-budget superhero movie, and you're gonna play the Joker, one of the most infamous comic characters of all time. I'd fucking sign up on that.
The villain for Batman, and then he's just getting.
I would be surprised if he still gets. I mean, apparently because Morbius has been so memed on the internet, Morbius 2 has now been greenlit by Disney, and by their studio.
And that's the reason why all of this shit doesn't work, because they're just going by statistics. All of this, the whole Phase 4 especially, reeks of cookie cutter copycatting, statistic, target group review shit all over the place. At certain things, you're getting glimpses from different directors and just trying to desperately put their spin on it. Eternals is a good example. This director just did a lot of different movies. Just very, very different way of just shooting films and just telling stories.
I mean, that's a big thing that I heard like about Eternals, but also to a certain degree about Multiverse of Madness. Like with Chloe Zhao or Sam Raimi, they buy in those directors who are known for their style, for doing stuff in a certain way, but then they force
them. Glimpses of these.
Yeah, but then they get still forced to follow, to adhere to the MCU formula and produce an MCU movie, even though you hired them for being different.
Yeah, and still we get Thor Ragnarok, which isn't
Yeah, in this case it worked. I guess.
But the thing is, it worked also because the bar
was.
was really low. I mean, let's be honest. 4 was the bottom feeder of every MCU list. You're just talking to people. 2, especially. 1 was just like, okay, 4 was not great because the competition was stronger in that phase. So, but it was okay. It was a little bit weird
before
with
Ragnarok
Hawkeye.
came out, and
Then-
all of a
then-
sudden, 4 is everyone's favorite character.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
then
Thor is
Dark
great.
World?
They have a Swedish actor.
Did anybody remember Dark World?
Yes, it was
And what
amazingly
happened
bad.
in that movie?
Chris Eccleston was in it, and he couldn't speak.
My headphones have died, so 1 second, guys.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no problem.
Whoa.
Whoa.
More people getting shifted around.
Oh no.
I'm the only constant.
Inception of Inception of Inception.
We are the multiverse.
Yeah.
But did you ever tell us your favorite
Phase 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I find it all despicable. I mean, they are fun movies, but it's
Valid.
the writing is just so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, let's distinguish something here. Am I entertained by these movies? Most of the time I am. I'm upset by certain movements, and then I just don't watch it ever again. Black Widow is a good example. What they did with that character is one part, but also how the movie just was structured. Let's say you hate Black Widow. The film is still not good. If you still want to say, hey, I hate Black Widow, hopefully they shit on her legacy. Okay, they're kind of doing that. But still, the movie doesn't make any fucking sense. And they ruined Taskmaster. Let's be clear about this. Taskmaster is one of the most just cool factor villain class character guy in Marvel. Full stop. Just this. And they just fucking ruined that character in that movie. It's just abysmal. Anyway. So, but Multiverse of Madness is what's just like for me, okay, this is partially fun. America Chavez is a little bit like a token getting moved around like a set piece. Didn't really like that. The humor at certain points is pretty cringy. The overall writing is weak. But hey, Strange is kind of fun. He does fun stuff. I mean, the Beholder fight, the zombie Strange, all of this is cool fun, yeah. But I'm not gripped by any of these. I'm just not. The series is as well, because I have a feeling everything just never goes anywhere and just stop on a bone they're just throwing mostly in the after credit scenes to us to just say, and watch out for this one because it will tie into in 3 or 4 years if I'm looking at what's coming next. Right? We have Miss Marvel. Okay, fair. Probably not my cup of tea because I'm just not the target audience, but I will just take a dip on it. Love and Thunder, to be honest, I have concern about this movie because there are a lot of high-paid actors in this, and I don't know how they distribute the screen time. How is he called, which plays Zeus? The guy from Gladiator, everyone knows.
Russell Crowe.
I don't.
Russell Crowe. He's Zeus. Just fucking Zeus. And he's probably in this movie for 5 minutes. I don't see how you, other than that, just can incorporate that. We have Christian Bale, which hopefully has good material, because otherwise it's another highly class actor, which is just getting thrown into this whole mix. And
I mean, that's what I missed when Marvel started out. They casted somewhat unknown actors, which was great because it's so much easier to get into the characters when you don't see them as these actors.
I mean, it was a giant springboard for people like Tom Holland. It was a giant springboard for Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston. All of these people, everyone knew, okay, if you're involved in MCU, it's a fucking ticket to the A rank of actors, because that gives
You're
you
going to
reach.
get more work afterwards if it's even
exactly.
a successful film.
Exactly. And to be honest, what's coming is basically a lineup of just saying, okay, this is the introduction of all the new characters we are getting. So we are getting She-Hulk in a series. Will she break out of that series? We don't know. We will see. But Hulk is involved there. You remember what was the last after credit scene of Hulk?
With Shang-Chi?
Exactly, broken arm, and he was him again. So what's happening there? Who knows? Captain Marvel was next to him. Nobody knows.
A lot of stuff happened. They already produced so
There's
many media.
Loose ends.
Yeah.
There's so many loose ends, and I don't know where it goes. And I just have a feeling there's no payoff for any of these.
Yeah, which probably brings to a good question, which might also lead into wrapping up. But depending on how long we know this. So I have in recent history started to be basically talking about me being a Marvel fan or an MCU fan as being stuck in an abusive relationship. And basically looking for, and I'm meaning this less and less ironic with every single one that comes out because of aspects that we already touched on, namely that you need to be in there for all of it. You cannot skip a single iteration. If you skip a single movie or a single...
Which now is proven by the last movie.
Yeah, then again, it's also like, does it? I mean, yeah, the last for Multiverse of Madness.
You understand Madness.
Universe. I'm agreeing with you with that.
Without WandaVision.
For Multiverse of Madness, you needed to see WandaVision 100%. But people also claimed that you needed to see What If for Multiverse of Madness, and I'm like, okay, Captain Carter appeared in there, but the Captain Carter in What If didn't have any noteworthy connections except looking the same.
To that. I mean, I barely made it through What If, to be honest.
I made it through the whole thing.
I
made it as well, but it was not an enjoyable ride, to be honest.
It was so hit and miss. It was so hit and miss, and I was missing the point for the longest time until they then go and are like, hey, see those small independent pieces? They are a part of a bigger one. You see, like the MCU, but in a pocket dimension. Isn't this great? How everything is mandatory to understand everything. And this, I hate this interconnectedness. It turned from something that I was like, whoa, that's the character from the other movie, into, fuck, I need to watch everything. I cannot skip a single media. I don't. Be without risking. Yeah, what if I skipped WandaVision? Then Multiverse of Madness would have been unwatchable, and I absolutely hate it because that's where the abusive part comes in. This is intentional. They make it so, and they spread it further and further apart. They make it wider and wider.
Exactly.
And if Netflix is becoming officially into the MCU, you have 13 seasons of Netflix shows to watch.
Yeah. And
I'm rewatching right now.
If they do something with Matt Murdock, of course you do.
And I am just on a certain level I was thankful for Eternals, because Eternals was the first one where I was like the first
stinker.
Yeah, but it was the first one where I could say, like, okay, it's falling apart. Finally, I see cracks in it so big that, I mean, okay, good for you guys that Black Widow was already bad enough for you guys, that this is probably a second crack. But yeah, for me, this was the first big crack where I was like, thank goodness it's finally falling apart. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There might be freedom at some point awaiting. Because here's the thing, the moment there are too many shows and movies that I just don't feel like catching up with, I will drop out of the entire thing, because that's the thing, it's all or nothing.
Role effect, right?
It's all or nothing.
It's a critical role effect when you're just saying, I have so many episodes to watch this role-playing show, which is really great, and I don't touch this because I know I will never catch up.
And
it's
unlike
the reason why I stopped being interested in One Piece. Because I will never ever watch the whole body of work from One Piece. It's not physically possible.
Exactly, and the MCU is going in the same direction. Yeah. Come on, you are 10 years younger than us. Make it this far, British. Probably even more.
No,
but
I've watched all of One Piece, all of it.
Yeah, but you had
dedication.
You know what I was able to. Yeah, but you know what I was able to watch during college. I watched so much. I was.
Okay, here's the thing. While I hear you, A and Y, I will tell you. For a lot of people, Spider-Man was a reason to buy in again. Because Spider-Man was a decent movie. It was a good movie. It was entertaining. You could even argue, hey, if you don't know Spider-Man 1 and 2, like Maguire and Garfield, then you don't really have the same emotional impact, because what the fuck do we understand if you don't know that Garfield Spider-Man killed his girlfriend? That scene makes no fucking sense if you don't have context for that. It
No, they do mention it. They say that,
mention it.
like, for me, it was my MJ. Oh no, it was Gwen. When in the scene.
I mean, they touch upon it, but my point is the emotional impact of these scenes, how they're constructed, always requires to know the source material, I say. Anyway, Spider-Man didn't have as much of that, I would say, so therefore it was fine and the movie was strong enough to hold up on its own. That's my point. But what I see coming up next, For Love and Thunder.
I will watch that.
This could be a great movie.
Yeah.
This could be an absolute killer in cinema. Entertaining, colorful, goofy. We get comedy. We know what the Guardian of the Galaxy are up to, at least. We're offline.
The audience leave.
Okay, we are going back online. I'm not sure how much we missed.
Roll back the tape. So we are talking about the MCU today.
The awkward cast.
Let's start all over.
Oh Jesus.
No, we might have been cut off when we returned here to looking at the upcoming stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So, but
Black Panther will be an interesting one. I never was the biggest Black Panther fan because it was just like the movie is fun, but it's also like it was one of all of those. It was on the same level for me as Ant-Man, to be honest. Guardian of the Galaxy Holiday Special. James Gunn quote, "This is a very important movie to watch. You have to watch this to understand Guardians 3.
Oh,
so they're even just saying now, hey, you need to watch everything.
I so hate Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
it's such a fest. It's so boring.
It's a pretty. For me, it's always a very mixed bag. I liked the first one because it was fresh stuff, kinda. But the second one I was really, really pissed with because it was, again, a very weak story. Drax is completely going to shit in the second movie.
Yeah.
So he's basically a troll character. I don't really like how they push Rocket and Star-Lord into this very forced, opposing, headbutting. I mean, they're strong characters, both of them, but the whole ego thing was kind of like weird. I didn't like the second one at all, so for me it was just like, meh.
Absolutely loved the first one. Was one of my earlier MCU favorites, but
Guardians of the Galaxy at this point feels like a gimmick, a gimmick franchise to me.
I would love if they introduced like Howard the Duck into the team. That'd be nice.
We'll see what happens.
It's a classic character.
But to maybe bring it back to the question, like,
what was the question?
I mean,
is it an abusive relationship?
No, or how you feel about it, where you see yourself with the future of the MCU, without looking at the specific upcoming properties, but the general thing, like where I am like, I am hoping for more shitty entries that they pile up to a point where I can just be like, okay, I'm quitting it. And I believe your counter, Yuri, was like, hey, but sometimes the big new one comes in that draws people back in. Which also sounds like a abusive relationship.
You tell me that you're not gonna see Guardian 3.
From the current lineup, I will definitely I'm looking forward to Thor and probably to Guardian 3, yes.
And to the holiday special, and you better watch I Am Groot as well, because that probably also ties into it.
You know, okay, so coming in from the perspective of I've only seen the main stuff, right? I am not afflicted with this problem that you guys have. Especially since, like, I'm fairly certain Disney's aware that they can't have a critical piece of information be referenced 20 movies ago, because no one's gonna, like, even with Multiverse of Madness, that relies on watching WandaVision, which came out just last year. Like, it's still pretty fresh in everyone's minds.
But it's paywalled.
But Shang-Chi has a character from Iron Man 2.
And it's
I did not see Shang-Chi. That's fair. But my point, like, I don't. culturally speaking, the term cape shit is starting to come up more and more. There is more of a cultural backlash to Marvel movies. We're seeing that with Morbius as well, where they're just being made fun of for how generic they are now. A new Marvel legend. No one cares. No one cares about Morbius. The joke there being that, oh my god, it's the best movie that's ever been made. I don't think that it's that big of a deal. Like, it's gonna still be around for the next 20 years because it keeps making money. That's just how the business goes, you know?
I mean, it's like the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah.
That shit is bonkers trash television or cinema, and it
Yeah.
prints money.
I wouldn't.
But
I
that's the
would
thing,
not
I don't watch
liken it
those
to an
either.
abusive relationship.
But
I think that's
but
a bit weird.
But here's the thing: I also don't watch the Fast and the Furious movies because they are just they became that lowbrow.
They're super entertaining if you're drunk enough.
It's a great perception, but you don't need to watch a franchise to have something entertaining enough, especially not a
Yeah.
franchise that is about to crack its 30th movie.
But to talk on something that Yuri made the point of, where if you haven't seen the old Spider-Man movies, the new Spider-Man movie doesn't make sense. Well, I disagree that it's enough there to still be a very good and very fine movie. Now,
Sure.
if you did go back and see them, then yeah, you would probably have a bit of a deeper understanding to it. Like, oh yeah, they're making a callback to that. But that's not like necessary material to enjoy or
they
watch.
also-
Actually, even detrimental because the second run of Spider-Man with Garfield is shit-panned like all over the place because those were not
I
good
liked
movies.
it.
It's currently getting the prequels treatment where people are going back to it and like enjoying it in retrospect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Age of
The movie's
Ultron actually
pretty
gets
good.
lifted up because a lot of people were so unhappy with the new turn MCU gets that Age of Ultron, which was the
Yeah.
red-headed stepchild of the MCU for a long time, just
So,
gets now.
Now that
seen
we're
better.
past, this is why the legacy question that I was asking earlier sort of comes back into it. Where now that we're past Endgame and we're getting into the less well-known characters, where the big people that have been associated with Marvel are dropping off. You know, no longer have Chris Hemsworth, Captain America. You know, I think we are going to see a decline in Marvel films until they manage to scrape together enough to make another big one, like whenever Kang the Conqueror comes back in. And in the meantime, the best shows to check out would either be the ones that are either mandatory to watch or are the more interesting ones, like WandaVision, how that started, and with Loki.
For me, since they have planned everything up to November the 8th, 2024, because that's when Shang-Chi
Wow.
2 is supposed to launch, there's a lot of content between that, and all of this needs to be produced. I think Marvel's biggest problem right now is if they're seeing a decline like they did with Multiverse of Madness, because that movie did not well for Marvel standards. I think they're just running out of money, and therefore they will even more double down on shoehorning more relevant stuff into the paywall of Disney Plus, which will chop up more content, and therefore we will have more and more like these necessities to watch this shit. Because in the end, we're talking about Disney, and Disney doesn't give a fuck about the creative value of their property. They want to make money, as much money as they can. So therefore, is it an abusive relationship? To be honest, I will keep watching it because I'm not watching anything else. To be honest, I'm just like that. So
I just
but
got back
I
into
will keep criticizing it.
I just got back into anime. I have infinite amounts of media to watch.
Same. I mean, I am gonna watch She-Hulk, and when they eventually bring back Daredevil, obviously. But I do want to watch the movies because I have so many friends to discuss the movies with,
Yeah.
which is part of the fun.
Yeah,
Like
part
this
of
discussion
culture.
is very fun.
Yeah.
A discussion we cannot have if we haven't watched a majority of the movies. Like such things is like a ticket into like social events and just being able to keep up with your friends and what they're doing.
Speaking of
Sadly.
social, if you're not having watched a movie for a long time, and I did this with, I think, the last Spider-Man, yeah. I watched the last Spider-Man not in cinema, but when it came out on Disney Plus. And that ostracized me from any social media which relates to Marvel for a long time because spoilers. You cannot move around if you are
Also
afraid
that.
of spoilers on Reddit, on Instagram, on all these platforms because they just fucking spoiler shit
Yeah.
in those movies. I mean, we all knew that Garfield and Maguire were in that movie, but a couple of supervillains or
I
villains
believe
were
I
not
didn't.
introduced.
Yeah,
You had that
believe-
fresh?
I believe
Because
I...
that was
it?
knowledge on the internet for almost third of a year because they leaked in some cinema they leaked the cast.
But no. I didn't have the full knowledge, but I knew, for example, that the classic Octavia, Doc Ock, came back,
Octavius, yeah.
coming in with the original actor. I'm now trying to remember how much I knew. I mean, I managed to stay surprisingly clean of spoilers. I didn't know about the Patrick Stewart cameo in Multiverse,
in
for
the trailer.
example. I know. I avoided the
Because
trailer.
You don't watch
Because
the
you
trailers.
don't watch
that's right.
trailers, yeah.
No,
that's
Yeah,
why.
me neither.
It's very funny when I'm in cinema and the trailer comes for a movie where I'm sensitive about trailers. I do a 90 degrees.
It's
and
super fun to see.
and I just keep. Oh yeah, were we in cinema back then as well when you were in Berlin? Oh yeah, so you.
Superman.
Okay.
Great movie.
Oh god, but yeah, I do a 90 degrees and start a very rapid fire conversation with whoever victim is there with me. Nowadays, it's usually Denim. She's very understanding. She always engages in the conversation so that I literally can fade out the entire. Yeah.
To me, cinema is the only time where I accept trailers. Like that's the only place where I think trailers are okay to watch.
Yeah.
And they're also made for that.
But anywhere else, like TikTok or like anywhere else, trailers pop up. I'm like, no. But in a cinema, I think like, oh, it's gonna come soon to cinema anyway, so it's better to get aware of the movie this way.
Well, getting aware. Yes, I'm with you on getting aware. But if I'm already aware, sorry, you're.
I'm super interested what they do with Deadpool and Blade because I don't think these heroes work without the R rating, and I'm not sure if Blade is R rated. Also, how does he fit into this whole kerfuffle? I mean, we have now the Black Knight from Marvel, from Eternals. Black Knight is now in the game.
which
That's
also
Jon
was like-
Snow for anybody
Yeah.
who doesn't know what I mean. He finds the Black Blade in the end.
Yeah.
So we will see about
I mean,
that.
he's a
Captain
descendant.
America 4 could be interesting, but I don't know how they actually do anything with Kang at this point. It's just so everything is so scattered. But to just say these are mostly on a technicality level. I would like to see what they do with these movies because it's interesting what Disney actually does with proper R-rated movies and
Yeah.
how.
Yeah.
And I like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool
agreed.
is just inconsequential fun.
I hope it remains that way, unless it becomes part of the mandatory viewing experience.
Oh, Jesus.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we could do.
Kids gotta grow
ano-
up someday.
Yeah, right. And if not, just grow up faster, I guess. I would love to do the same thing about Star Wars because we could just have this whole discussion about Star Wars as well.
I have the
But-
same statement about an abusive relationship with Star Wars as well.
I've only watched the prequels.
Mandalorian is so great, and then they come with Boba Fett and they intertwine those two shows. And Boba Fett is so shit and boring. That's the worst thing that a show can do, being boring.
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
that's the worst crime. Like Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation says, bland games are actually the worst
Yeah,
because
they're worse
you
than
have
worst
no
games.
emotions towards it whatsoever. That's the reason why I hated Eternals, kind of like, because it was just like, it just ran in front of my eyes and it was just like,
Yeah, and Boba
feel
Fett is
nothing.
an entire show of that.
anyway, that's Star Wars, right? So keep that for a next show if we ever want to talk this.
So we've gotten myself, ANY, and Yuri's answer to the question. But Miles, what's your thoughts on? Well, to rephrase the question, what was it? The current state of Marvel, and is it an abusive relationship?
It's absolutely abusive. I had to watch Black Widow in that
Oh, yeah.
state.
There's a simple answer. Just don't watch the movies.
But I want because I don't watch trailers, I don't watch
Yeah.
spoilers, so I don't know what I'm getting into. I'm expecting probably a spy movie, and then it's like a family spy kind of movie with all the sort of slapstick shit.
It's like Spy Kids, but everybody's older.
It's so bad, and it's always it has this kind of trope where like, oh, this character suddenly has family members that you never knew about. No, she was kind of good because she was really independent and didn't really have anyone, kind of storyline.
Not anymore,
But,
it isn't.
It was shit, and
Yeah.
it's gonna continue to be shit. I think. I think Thor is gonna be good, and movies like Thor, because there's gonna be more movies that continue to be somewhat really good.
In
So
Vice
you're
City,
gonna
we trust.
Exactly. So we're going to continue watching some movies because we think, oh, it's going to be good, right? Because the other one was good. And getting tricked into watching the shit movies, which is abusive. Like, I don't want to read up on which director is in for every movie. That's no fun. So yeah, absolutely abusive. But I'm not going to stop watching DC because of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What alternative do you have?
Anime!
Still into comics?
I am
This is
watching
the thing.
anime.
Lift up other films that are gone on
Yes.
now. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Go watch it.
I've
It's
just
an
rewatched
incredible
my
film.
favorite movie series, which is the Saw movies.
Go
and the latest
watch.
one is shit.
I
Go
have,
watch
by the way, I have a
Guys.
better Multiverse of Madness movie, and how fuck is it called? It's currently in cinema. It's with this Chinese actor, which is in a lot of
Muted? Hello?
No, you're not muted. I hear you.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's the film.
everywhere.
all
yeah,
right.
exactly. That one. Watch that one. It's an incredible movie.
If you are tired of Marvel, if you want to escape this death loop that you've put yourselves in, watch other films, lift them up. Green Knight, unfortunately, flopped, but it was apparently really good.
Yeah,
Like-
but yeah, that's the thing. Like, no, I'm not against movies, but yeah,
Yeah.
this.
But the problem is Marvel is sucking a lot of oxygen out of the industry and out of
course.
cinema, and that is
Make
part
the
of a
culture-
problem.
Make the culture about the
They're
other
also
stuff. If your
taking all the
friends are talking
actors.
if you're talking about the new Marvel stuff, change the conversation. Hey, have you guys seen the new Bad Guys film? It was really good.
Oh yeah.
You know, make
But
that the
Miles
conversation.
just said a very important thing.
Yeah, I want to
Almost
say,
your
have you
whole
seen it? You're like,
circle, your whole circle of friends is
Yeah.
more familiar with the stuff we just keep watching for 20 years now, and I kind of relate because you just like keep referring to that. Before it was Star Wars and Star Trek, and now Marvel is our new big thing, and I think we now need to see it kind of crumble, which
I mean-
probably will happen because it's oversaturated generally. So.
Yeah, but my closest friend circle right now, we just started watching wrestling to have something else to watch. And
Yeah, so you
that's
will
been
have-
great.
You will have a shift. You will have a shift because this thing, as it currently is running, I think, is just running itself into the ground. We will have a
Yeah.
couple of capstones still, but I think Marvel, Disney will go the same route as Activision Blizzard always is going with a franchise. Printing and milking it so long until it's entirely dead and then just
Yeah.
shelf it.
But that's exactly what I assume what we both meant, like with no, but still being dragged along for as long as possible, to being milked for as long as possible, no matter how shit it turns. With the
As British said, at a certain point, you just have enough of that shit and you just stop caring.
and I can't
I'm
wait for reaching
very-
that point.
I'm actually after I think for Love and Thunder. That's actually really my last movie where I say, okay, this is the last guy I really relate to. Guardians already lost me on the way, so 4 for me is really the last movie where I say, okay, this I still keep going, and then Disney Plus keeps there for Star Wars because I have watched Kenobi. Very concerned, but also optimistic.
So far,
that
it's
it
fine.
turns still. Anyway,
fun
that's
so far.
2 episodes so far, right?
the thing is, not enough good lightsaber choreography so far for my taste, but that's me.
But yeah, I guess with it already being late, and we're all European, so it's late for all of us. For you two on the island, a little bit less late, like an hour less late.
Yeah,
But
I gotta
still,
go to bed soon.
yeah, we also definitely have to at least. I'm not sure. You're probably also working tomorrow, aren't you, Yuri?
Are we in the plugging section of the stream? Are we going to plug all our stuff?
Sure, plug your stuff. If you are here, you're already seeing the best that I have to offer. So next person.
Which one now?
Yuri, plug your stuff, please. I'm curious what you are going to put forward.
Oh yeah, my new NFT podcast where I'm telling you all the rage about my newest NFT development. No, I have nothing going on. I'm just
You have a life.
Family for. I barely can make space for this fucking show tonight because my son just thought, "Hey, Daddy, today is the only day where you want to have a night off. So let me not fall asleep and just scream in the room next to you while you're fixing frantically your Mac to just accept your fucking OBS virtual camera. Because Discord is a heaping pile of shit. Thank you very much. I love you all."
Oh.
Amazing.
I actually do have a small thing to plug. I work at Supermassive Games. I'm a game developer, and a game that I worked on is coming out in like 2 weeks' time. It's called The Quarry. It's like kind of in the same vein as Until Dawn.
Nice.
Nice.
And it's really good. I've obviously played through all of it. I think people are gonna love it. And it comes out in like 2 weeks' time. So that'll be my plug. Go pre-order and buy The Quarry. It'll be on Steam or other
I really
places.
liked Until Dawn.
Me too.
Until
A lot
Dawn
of people
was
did.
a lot of the right level of camp, I would say. It was really nice.
And Miles, Mangajag.
Mangajag. Yeah, I'm artist. I art, so I do commissions to do art for people. Simple. I'm
Like
wearing
this
my
one.
own art.
Oh yeah.
Like that one. Very topical.
Oh, it is very topic. It's even Marvel characters. I didn't even realize because the X-Men are still not tainted by the MCU. Mostly, Patrick Stewart aside.
But yeah, I do art. I art anything people want. I have very few limits. So yeah.
This laughter. Somebody who
I've seen
hates.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. I have drawn shit.
Yes.
I've been places. You don't know what the darkness beholds.
No, but guys, it was.
I don't judge.
It was a great fun. Yeah, we can definitely have this again. I mean, technically, Keyframe is still not around next week, so Star Wars talk.
Have fun.
I'm up for it. So shitting on Star Wars, I'm always here for.
I-
Let's also include Picard, the show.
I haven't watched that.
To really go
but if we
into
go,
the gutter.
but if we go Star Trek, Lower Decks.
Okay, I'm more interested in Star Trek.
No, I'm
That
not.
one I'd have to check myself.
Voyager
out.
is
I haven't
really
seen-
nice.
I haven't seen any Star Trek stuff. Although I started watching like the first season of The Next Generation.
That's still the golden age, I would say. I mean, Silver Age. Let's
That's
put
the
it
only
that
stuff
way.
that I've consumed. That's my father's TV show.
I'm even the weird guy who watched Voyager.
Voyager
And
is the
kinda
best.
enjoyed it. I liked Voyager. Everyone is just
If we're
weirded,
doing a
weirded
Doctor
out
Who
about it.
podcast, I could talk your ear off, but
But yeah, let's see if and what happens next. But yeah, for today, thanks guys for being up for it. It was
Yeah, thank you.
interesting, great fun.
yeah, it was
and
fun.
until next time, everybody.
Catch you
Bye.
later.